if you had to say things about Lou, what's something that Lou loves getting?
Attention,
right?
Attention.
So, right. And I didn't really, that wasn't a fed line. That was open out there for Sean to fill in the blank. And you know, I've been known to like attention. And I'm telling you, there's nothing better than walking into a spot and having someone see you and recognize you. And you're like, oh, that's my guy. Having that beer waiting for me. Even when I go get coffee, you know, walk in and have my, you know, large hot 2 and 2 ready for me. Like, it's just, first of all, the tip's always going to reflect that, you know, but like the return service and the interaction, like, man, you're already setting us up to a great day today.
YUNKJunk!
What's up, Philadelphia, and welcome to an amazing day in the city of Philadelphia. The birds are chirping. It is 66 degrees. Cody Rhodes finished the story yesterday at Wrestlemania, and it is episode 3 of the Supper Club with myself, Lou Novak, and my co-host, the esteemed Sean Thump McGranahan. Sean, how are you feeling today, man?
I feel good.
You feel good?
I feel good.
Okay. I mean, I feel great. Okay. I feel elated. I feel like there's a weight off of the shoulders of the city. I feel like
the city was in a great place yesterday. I mean, you know, 72,000, 2 straight nights, you know, sold out. How much other, you know, events were going on in the city, and, you know, even like bars hosting parties and stuff like that. And we know the great debate that went happening over La Rocca between The Rock and Kevin Hart. It's a good time in Philadelphia for the most part.
Absolutely.
You know, yesterday was a fun day.
I had a lot of fun. We were there. We were at night 2 for Wrestlemania down at the Link. You know, we got to experience all of that energy live. And I tell you what, I've gone to a lot of sporting events. I've gone to a lot of wrestling shows, concerts. Energy level, I mean, top 3, top 2, maybe best ever. I had a phenomenal time. We were there with my kids and Sean, and we partied. Some of us partied harder than others. And you tilted your head a little bit there, bud. How was your partying?
It went well.
It went well?
It went well.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I had a fun night.
I'm glad. I'm glad we had a fun night.
Paying for it today, but I had a fun night.
Hey, sometimes, you know, as long as you could pay the bill when it comes, then you don't party too hard. I will tell you one thing we did, and we're gonna ask our producer Dylan to get some footage on this later. Is I don't do this often, but I caved to a little bit of peer pressure. And Sean, I will let you, I think we're going to carry the show a little bit today based on how you're feeling, but I will let you take point on this one. I'll let you have this moment for yourself. Why don't you tell our viewers exactly where we found ourselves yesterday as we were pre-gaming and partying for WrestleMania Night 2?
Where we found ourselves?
There was a specific bar inside.
Oh, the Jameson bar. The Jameson bar inside the Link that was packed. It was full, and we couldn't even get to the front of the line. But it was nice to see it. I hadn't been in the Link in a while, so I wasn't aware that was there. And I believe you did one, didn't you?
I did. In the spirit of burying the hatchet and trying to like mend fences between us, I was the bigger person, and I decided to take a shot for you.
Okay. Fair.
Gotcha.
I should not be doing this.
Come on, Lou.
But you are.
Your favorite drink.
For friends. Cheers. Still terrible.
I'm proud of you. You're doing great.
But yeah, man. So we're rolling into our 3rd episode now at the Supper Club.
What do you think about it so far? What feedback have you gotten?
Engaging, very engaging. I've gotten a lot of positive responses. And listen, we're small time. I know we're still attacking the Joe Rogan podcast for viewers.
We're coming for you, Joe.
We're coming for you, Joe. Yeah. But I've gotten some good feedback from friends of ours, from casuals. I've seen on our TikTok and our Instagram, people I don't know just chime in and thank, like, oh my God, like, I remember stories like that. And, you bring me back to being in the business. So I've gotten good feedback. And even if we have bad feedback, I mean, really any feedback and engagement's good.
Oh, yeah.
There's no bad PR.
Listen, feedback means that they at least enjoyed the experience enough that they want it to be better.
Right. Right. Or they want to tell us that we're assholes and like, no, I'm going to write in right now and tell you why you suck.
It's like, to apply that to the restaurant mentality, we get a lot of emails and, complaints and people, telling us their experience, and it's a good thing to get that. Sometimes people get upset by it. I always think it's a good thing because once we get that, we can correct it.
We can fix it.
If somebody doesn't give the feedback and they just say, F it, I'm not going back there, then we lost an opportunity.
Well, that's me. I'm like the quiet killer. Like, I'm just like, how's everything? It's fine. I'm never coming back. Like, because I don't want the attention of like, hey, well, let's comp something. Because now I feel like I didn't tell you something was off to get a free something. Like, I'm not that guy. That's weird. And, but like, I'm also not gonna be like, send this back and have the cook do better or something like that. I won't come back, man. That's just my thing. To me, it's like every time is like your first audition and you only get one. And I know I don't think I'm high maintenance. I might be a little high maintenance. But
if you say I don't think I'm high maintenance, in general, you are way high maintenance. And you, my friend, are high maintenance.
People like me. I'm fun.
That's what they tell you to your face. Yes.
Yeah.
But going off of that, like I remember, we talked a couple episodes ago about steakhouses and stuff like that. And I remember when I was previously married and we went to a steakhouse in Rittenhouse Square, and it was a corporate one, but very, very renowned. And I remember my ex-wife got the prime rib. Okay. And she wanted it rare. Okay. So it came out. It was physically cold.
Yeah.
It still has to have heat on it.
Yeah.
So, and we knew some people that worked there, and they came over and checked on us, and she couldn't eat it. It was cold. So they took it back, and it was pretty obvious that they took it back and put it in a microwave or something. It was now like medium well
and chewy
and steaming hot, and but here's the thing is that the general manager of the location, we didn't complain. We didn't sit there and say, send this back. We're not paying for this or anything. We just let them know what the status was. They thanked us for, letting them know. I think they bought us a dessert or something. We weren't looking for anything for free. I mean,
right.
you know us, and we moved forward. Hopefully what they did was they took that feedback to make sure that, it doesn't happen again. That's one of the things that we have to do as operators is we have to ask for that feedback, because if we don't know the problem, we can't fix the problem.
How often do we say that about whether it be customers, staff, anything, vendors?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know there's an issue, to me, there's no issue.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's perfect. No, it's not. But you didn't tell me it's not.
Well, there's also a reasonable expectation that we all have that if we're not hearing the negative feedback, that it's all good.
Right.
And, that's why it's so important to reach out and get that feedback and ask for it. And, that's why we do table touches.
It's literally my favorite part about the job. It really is.
You do a table touch and you check in on somebody. They're either going to tell you everything's great,
right?
They're going to tell you, and then give you an opportunity to try and fix it, or they're going to tell you everything's horrible. Okay, and that's their discretion. It happens. But acknowledging the problem and being on top of it is what's important, because we have to get them before they walk out the door. Once they walk out the door, they're lost to us.
Sure.
They can go out and put up a, bad rating. They can go and tell their friends it was horrible. But I'd much rather somebody say if there's a problem, there was this problem and they corrected it right there. And we're very courteous about it.
What kind of table touch manager were you? Like, what was your go-to? How would you approach a table? Because
Fat and Jolly. I would always just go to the table, and first off, I always touched the actual table, because that's kind of like when police officers are pulling a car over, they always touch the back of the car.
On it. It's like, I know I was here in case anything happens.
Exactly. So it's just kind of in my head. So I touch the table, so it's like legit. And guys, how is everything tonight? Ladies, how is everything? And whatever feedback they give me, we instantaneously have to react to it. And that's what we've done for 20 years. I mean, anywhere we've been, we've instructed people to do that, because that's your one-on-one. That's your interaction. It's going to be able to get people to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when I approach anyone, like I approach everyone as if like we have a long-standing friendship and relationship. I am not quite the, hey, I'm going to sit down at the table with you, because I've seen that. I've seen managers and people do that. I think it's a little too comfortable and too weird. But like, I love engaging people and just like, hey, what are we doing tonight? Like, what are we celebrating? Like, what kind of drinks are we drinking? Yep. And this could be people with like water in front of them and like drinks. I'm like, yeah, man, it's a Monday afternoon. Like, it's Monday fun day, right? Like, just to kind of break the ice and get people comfortable. And
you're not talking about today, right? I can't handle that.
Why not, Sean? You can't Monday Fun Day today?
No.
We're celebrating the eclipse. We know what we're celebrating today? We're celebrating the fact that we have a new listener as of last week. You know who was listening to us?
Who?
Punxsutawney Phil, because he actually heard my rant about Groundhog Day and it being full of shit and bullshit and how he needs to do better. And 66, blue skies, birds chirping, sun's out. It's a great day today.
Oh, now he's okay. Now he's okay. Last week he was, I believe the word used was vermin. Yeah, this week he's good.
He fell in line.
So,
don't be sorry when you could be better is kind of what I always say to people. And I feel like, he apologized. Again, I don't accept apologies through words. I accept apologies through changed behavior and actions. And here we are now, beautiful weather, beautiful spring weather in April.
it was. It's very, very nice. And I'm glad I was outdoors all day and getting some sun and vitamin D and really being a functional member of society.
When?
Now?
Okay, sure. Okay. We'll go with that narrative.
So, one of our topics we always talk about is Bar 101. We always want to sit there and tell people this is what things are. This is, and doing our table touch talk right now is kind of indicative of that. We want to tell people, hey, this is how you act in a restaurant. So that if you get to see it, you actually are able to, understand what's going on the other end.
What's a line that we've said before? Like, act like you've been here before. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about table touching, like that's Bar 101 for management or for staff or servers as well. But there's also the Bar 101 aspect as far as guest relations as well.
Our favorite places to go, and this is going to come up a little bit later, but our favorite places to go, the people know us, because we've been there, we've treated them well, they've treated us well, and whether it be walking into a bar and having somebody have your beer, waiting for you before you sit down,
that's a great feeling.
Somebody sitting there saying, I know he's going to order this, so I'm going to put it in right now, or just even a friendly hi, and that's what's necessary.
What's one of the things that if you had to say things about Lou, what's something that Lou loves getting?
Attention,
right?
Attention.
So, right. And I didn't really, that wasn't a fed line. That was open out there for Sean to fill in the blank. And I've been known to like attention, and I'm telling you, there's nothing better than walking into a spot and having someone see you and recognize you. And you're like, oh, that's my guy. Having that beer waiting for me. Even when I go get coffee, walk in and have my, large hot 2 and 2 ready for me. Like, it's just, first of all, the tip's always going to reflect that, but like the return service and the interaction, and like, man, you're already setting us up to a great day today.
Let me ask you about that. So you just said the tip is reflective of the service, and I firmly believe in that. And I have a basement that I won't go below in terms of tip, but we'll go as high as 100% of the check if we think it was really good service, because that's what we look for. We look for the service. I mean, anybody can sit there and open up a bottle of beer or make a taco or put a steak out. It's that customer service. It's us saying, hey, we acknowledge that we don't want to be home doing this, and we can come over and do it here in a social atmosphere, much like on Saturday night. What did we do Saturday night?
LaRocca, night one, Wrestlemania.
And they had it on the TVs for us. So we heard the sound. We had a Lou's kids there with us who are phenomenal kids and really love wrestling. And it was a very, very good vibe, even though I was asked to quiet down. But I understand, it was.
Now, who do you think complained? Do you think it was a customer?
Yeah.
Just a weak ass customer who came to a bar, and then people were being loud at a bar, and they were like, "This is too loud.
Well,
can't have."
Here's the thing, and there's an idea: is it a bar? Is it a restaurant? Okay, and I know the owner of LaRocca, Steven. He really wants it to be a restaurant. Like, he wants that. It's a great bar though too, and I tell him that all the time. They got great selections, the best kill selections in the city, great customer service. Everybody who he hires, from the managers all the way down, all they do is customer service. They get it, and if they don't get it. And you got to make tough decisions. But you have situations like that where it's like, somebody else is coming in with different expectations of what the environment's going to be.
Right.
And I don't know if they were celebrating a birthday. I mean, we were legitimately 20 feet away from anybody. And all we were doing was cheering on the wrestling, and I was announcing,
Dollar Coors
Lights. Bam, 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 bam. And
at that same volume, or was it a little?
I mean, if you're asking me now, it was probably lower. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So they were complaining. So when they were complaining about the noise, is that you weren't being loud enough.
Right.
Now
Possibly.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
But again, that's the type of place where we'll continue to go back there because we just asked him off the cuff and said, hey, WrestleMania night 1, we're not going, but we want to watch it and have a good time. And he said, no problem. And that's the type of level of service that we expect.
Unless he wasn't licensed to have it, in which case we watched it on our phones.
Yeah, which is fine. But the idea is that we want to make sure that we're having a good time. We also want to make sure we're being responsible.
Steven and the staff at La Roca go out of their way every single time you walk in the door.
Can't
They're
say
like,
enough.
oh, Sean's here, Lou's here. Yeah. I mean, and my first interaction with Steven is like, he just knew me. It was like Donnie Brasco. Like, you introduced me like, oh, this is a friend of ours. Yeah. That was it. Like, it wasn't, oh, this is a friend of mine. This is a friend of ours. I got a big hug. What's up, brother? How are you? I'm like, dude, like you talk about a guy who's built for this industry, like just welcoming, just engaging, just like.
And always wanting to do for others.
Yeah.
Like he's the type of guy that we're proud to be friends with because even when sales are down, he's making sure he's keeping everybody employed, making sure he's keeping pockets and people's pockets full. Even their drag karaoke that they did, it was expensive. And they put a pause on it for a little bit, I think, but they're going to bring it back because it's so much fun. I mean, who doesn't like karaoke?
Wednesdays upstairs, right?
And but he's a guy who goes out of his pocket to really do not just for him, but for the whole Main Street. And it's the south side of Main Street. It's not as packed in as the rest of Main Street. Once you get up to Rector Street, Roxborough Ave, it's kind of like a little bit more condensed with all bars and restaurants. So it's a little bit of a stretch. Right. So right now at this end of the street, you got YUNKJunk Brewery, you got La Roca, you got Goat's Beard, Vera Hookah Lounge. I think they're going for a liquor license now too. And so there's only 4 places down there. So. Which is fine, but they're 4 fun places. Yeah. Cool. And Steven sits there and give an example yesterday before I went down to Wrestlemania. Yeah. I had to stop in La Roca, say hi to Caitlin, and get a shot and a beer. A little pregame, whatever. And they had a 3-piece jazz band playing outside.
That's a vibe.
And it was the soundtrack to the street. I mean, everybody on the street that walked by was stopping to dance a little. Chloe's Corner across the street when they were waiting in line for their ice cream and stuff.
Ice cream.
They're dancing over there. It's one of those things where it's like, and he doesn't need to do that because he's putting the music outside.
Outside, right?
So
it's not like you have to pay to come in.
Yeah.
He's doing it for the experience of Main Street.
And that's
a good neighbor.
It's a great neighbor. And that's why, Steven and I, we established a pretty strong friendship early on when I moved down here. And I walked by him and he was, opening up in the morning, had his newspaper out and just sat and talked to him for 20 minutes and we clicked, bro. I mean, he's
one of us.
He's one of us. One of us.
Great movie. Anyway, but yeah, we talk about bar etiquette. We talk about bar 101. And I know, like I said, we talk about the table touches and we talk about, how to kind of train, the staff, train the customers. I will tell you one thing, it was a recent experience, but it seems to be an ongoing experience when it comes to bar 101. Hey, like if me and you and my kids were going out and we wanted to actually get a table, I never usually bar people, and we want to make a reservation. How many people would you make that reservation for?
4.
4 people? Really? Even though there are only 2 people over the age 18?
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's almost like every ass that needs a seat, you make a reservation for, right?
When you go to an Eagles game, let's say,
wrestling, Eagles
game.
Do
you sit there and not count the kids? Did we save money last night by your kids?
we did not save any money last night. One trip to concession stand was $112.
Part of my extremity is very, very, very bad off today because of getting
because of not cutting any expenses.
Yes.
But it's weird because and I will deadpan to the camera on this one and talk to anyone that's listening because it's desperation. I need people to understand me. If you're going out to eat, if you're making reservations, your kids count. Whether they be in a stroller, whether they be 1 year old and holding your hand, whether they be, a toddler. I've seen people before where they didn't count the teenagers to where, hey, reservation for 2. I'm like, well, there's 3 of you. Oh, well, and 2 and the kid. I'm like, well, where's the kid going to sit? You want the kid at a different table? You want the kid outside? Because I held a table for two because
That's what you were expecting.
I expected two people because you said two people. Your kids count. How many asses and seats? How many heartbeats do we have? It's just
Well, if I'm involved in that, you really can't count mine. It's on the downside.
well, it changes. Sometimes your heart will stop working. So sometimes it's a two top, it's a one top, it's a two top again.
Issues. That's okay.
But yeah, your kids count. So if you're making reservations and you're bringing your significant other, and a stroller, that's a 3. That's a 3. You're going to want a table for 4 people so you have room. That's not a 2-top. 2-top, you're going to get a very small table in the middle of a place that might be a little bit more space restricted. So count your children. Pretend it's your taxes, right? Count them.
It's one of those things where I feel like a lot of people, when they look at making reservations, they don't look at it from the perspective of, hey, like I'm putting this in with this people. They're going to hold my table and they're going to make it happen. It's almost like they feel like, well, there's open tables over there. Why can't I sit at that table?
Yeah, that's for the
somebody
other
made a
people.
reservation for that table.
For 3 or 4. Crazy as it may sound.
But it's one of those things where it's like, just be respectful of the restaurant, be respectful of the bar, communicate clearly. If you listen, I've had parties, large scale parties,
right,
like over 100 people. And then they were like, oh, well, there's also 30 kids. And it's like, like, what do you want to do? That's a little bit bigger.
It's bigger. And we might not charge you the same head count. It might be half.
And then they just assume
money's money.
Make chicken fingers. They're cheap. And it's like,
cool, pay for them.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, don't be cheap.
To the bill.
Right, pay for them. So that's my main thing I want to really stress on the Bar 101 today is help us help you. Again, you're paying to come out and have a good time. Mm-hmm. We want you to have a good time. I don't look at anyone to where I'm, we want to be like, hey, have, as I like to say, have the day you deserve. We want people to come out, and if they're paying for an experience with us, to have a great fucking time. But we can't help you do that if we don't have the information. Again, we can't fix a problem if we don't know there is one. We can't react to things if we can't, rely on the information being correct.
But that being said, okay, mm-hmm. when it does happen, it is kind of fun, and maybe not for you, but when it's kind of fun for me to make it happen for them. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like, hey, I don't have it, but let me fix it for you. And then that feeling afterwards is like, ooh, a little elation,
Fixing it is, it's always a sense of accomplishment. It's always like, hey man, I did something. I left a memorable impression. But like, I will tell you this, and it's not passive aggressive, but I will let people know, like, hey, like, this isn't what we planned for you. Mm-hmm. And I'll let them know that first, because again, it's,
gotta be fair. I
gotta be fair. I gotta let them know, like, hey, like, it might be an extra couple minutes because you told us 2. There's gonna be 3 or sometimes 4 years now, right? So it wasn't in the plan, but man, we're gonna change the plan right now. Give me 5 extra minutes. We'll make it happen.
That's a beauty of what we do. We get to make that sense of, I say it all the time, broken record, an immediate gratification that we could put on somebody's face that, like, hey, you had an issue and I took care of it.
I could tell you, a good
whether
story.
It's an employee or a guest or a vendor. I love doing that. I love solving those problems.
I have not to give you too much attention or put you over, but I could tell a great story one time where it was the pandemic, it was lockdown, and me, you, and some friends of ours, we were out, doing the Fishtown 500 and just lapping every bar in the neighborhood, and we came across Garage, and it was like, hey, like there's no tables. Like, not only is there no tables now, like there's not going to be
and
tables.
That was when they were just seating outside.
It was just outside, and it was like every table is allocated. Every table that could open is allocated in the future. Like, there's reservations. You're not on the list. Like, thanks for trying, come again later. And then I think you asked your friend Benjamin Franklin to ask the bouncer or the host again, like, hey, I'm just going to ask it a slightly different way. And then it was like the scene from the Copa in Goodfellas, where within 5 minutes, here comes a guy with a table on his shoulder on the corner of Frankfurt and Gerard.
Literally on the corner.
Like, does this work? We're like, fuck yeah, it works.
We were blocking the ramp
Ramp
access.
access, yeah.
But it was, I think it was $150. I slid them just to make it happen. But we were out with some friends and we were trying to have a good time. And
we had a good time.
And we had a good time that night. And I mean, that's part of what I do. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure everybody around me has a good time. And that doesn't just apply to the hospitality business, but just in general. Like, if I could put a smile on one of my friends' faces, I'd do that faster than trying to say, well, what do I want to do?
Right.
Yeah,
it was a good time. I think you had a nickname that night too. Daddy Sean? Was it Daddy?
Was it Zaddy?
It might have been Zaddy. We had a good time that night.
Got a few nicknames. I mean, it happens, you know. But you know, it's all part of what we do, and it's all part of taking care of other people and making sure that, you know, we're giving the hospitality to not just the people who we're going to give business to, but also our friends.
Speaking of you having a few nicknames, I've been told that I do have to stream. It's Thump, right? Like I can't. I was told I can't go off script anymore.
Yeah.
I had a list of nicknames I was giving you, having a little fun with it, but I think it's Thump. I don't want to say who.
A decision was made.
A decision was made.
Put it this way. It went to the board of directors.
There we go.
And
went to the board.
One of the members of the board put it out there and said, "Your name."
Put some respect on your name.
Put some respect on that. You know,
respect.
You know, 12 years old I was when I got that nickname, wearing a Thump and Bump T-shirt at Archbishop Bryan basketball camp, and guys like Mike Grutzmacher, Brian Hamill, and who else? Jeff Seaman, they all like they said, "Oh, the Thump and Bump kid," you know, because everybody got called by their last names, and you know, McGranahan's you know,
sure,
it doesn't come out like Novak, you know, like
I was Novak in high school a lot.
Yeah,
Hey, Novak, yeah,
and that when I started at Ryan in the fall, everybody already knew me as Thump, you know, all the upperclassmen, and it was like, that's it.
It's good it went with Thump too, because I know a couple people in our business whose nickname's Bump for
other reasons.
For other reasons.
So, yeah. The funny thing is, I do have a tattoo on my arm that I got when I was 16 years old. Sorry, Mom. And it's just Thump. It's in cursive. It was $37.
Oh, you went all out.
It was $35 for the black, and then he outlined it in green for the extra $2. And so I've had that on my arm since I was 16 years old. The funny thing is that in the past, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years, people look at it and it kind of looks a little jumbled, and some people think it says Trump. If I ever got another man's name tattooed on me, we're getting married. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
Fair.
But why would I ever put somebody else's name on my arm? And I know there's people out there that do it. And there's people that get the faces done and all that type of stuff. And, you know, no disrespect, I don't get it.
I have a lot of tattoos. That's
What's your favorite tattoo?
I have a tie. I have 2 favorite tattoos.
Emily and Casey?
Dude, they drew it. You know, one day my kids came up to me. This was 8 years ago, and hey, Dad, when you get a new tattoo? I was like, I don't know, when you draw me one. So like the next day they came down and Emily drew me this little sugar skull with like a headband of flowers, and Casey drew me this weird anime looking strawberry for no reason. And when I took it to the shop, I remember the artist was like, "Hey, do you want me to clean this up?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. I need it to look exactly like this. I don't want to CGI AI looking version of this. I want exactly how my kids drew it."
When you're older, and you will get much older than me, we all know that, right?
Well, I mean, you're rounding out 24 and calling
so,
it, yeah, absolutely.
But when you're older and you're like your dad's age, okay?
Yeah.
And your dad's a great man.
My dad is getting another tattoo next week.
Awesome. That's awesome. He raised
more tatted than anyone.
He raised a good family, and he's got good people in him, but he's like the nicest guy ever. I remember the first time that you invited me over. Well, it was the second time you invited me over, but I went to a holiday party there.
First time you showed up.
Right.
Yeah. Christmas.
And literally everybody couldn't have been more nice to me and excited that I was there. In fact, your brother Tommy wasn't even there, so I had to be the stand-in for his wife's. I had to be standing for Tommy when they did the family picture. So
Sarah is a great vibe. Yeah. That's Tommy's wife. When she married into the family, we were excited.
So you said,
yeah, she's good people, and shout out to Tommy and Katrina if I leave my sister out. God forbid if I leave out Princess. So
don't ever say anything negative about Princess. All right.
I'm his best friend, but she's his favorite. No, so speaking of a list of names, I know we've this is episode 3 for us, and we've done a couple lists before. And the first was overrated things, and the second was we talked about overrated bar songs. Today I want to talk maybe not overrated, but I just want to go over a list of pregame and postgame drinks, like so tailgate drinks. Right, we're in the parking lot. What's a good tailgate beer or tailgate drink that you would open up with?
Well, being from Philadelphia, there's a short list of it's Miller Lite, You know, Miller Lite. I mean, I know some people don't like it, some people love it. It's the go-to for me. It has been for 25 years.
Every Northeast Philly guy ever.
Yep. Then you get like the Twisted Teas, but I steer away from them anymore because they got a lot of like with the molding and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan, especially when there's other things like stateside, Surfsides, yeah,
absolutely.
And so
no hangover with the Surfsides.
Yeah,
the tea, the sugar just fucking kills you.
It's those are the go-tos for drinks, you know, and food, you know.
Well, there's plenty of good tailgate food. You know, you wings, you know, hot dogs, stuff like that. You
Hoagies,
know, hoagies, yeah. But for me, like, you know, outside of like any light beer, which, you know, I'll put a lot of the light beers in the same category. Miller Lite, Coors Light, Bud Light, top three, right? And they're only $1 at La Roca when Sean's there. Only $1.
You go in, you spin the wheel, and you get to pick what's on special. Simple as that.
Anything that wheel lands on of all the options, and you'll know that when you sit there, you know, it'll land on. So I will also throw probably Coronas in there. You know, nice little, you know, and the only thing,
especially in the summer,
the only thing better than a Corona is like a Corona Pony. Ooh. You know, the little guy, because they can never get warm. You just drink them too quick. You know, with a lime in there, just crush them at like a ball game or a country music festival or something like that. You know, put me with Coronas.
I remember back in the day, it was Rolling Rock ponies were the go-to, and it was fun and it went well. But you know, I'm still, like I said, I'm a Miller Lite guy.
I was never a Rolling Rock guy. I don't trust a beer that comes in a green glass. To me, there's something about it.
Because of the lighting.
I don't know what it is. It's just. A green bottle to me has always just been off-putting. I don't know what it is. Heineken, Rolling Rock, just not my vibe.
When I was living in Pittsburgh, at the time, Rolling Rock was owned by Labatt. Okay. And we had a place that was down on the north side, directly across the street from the baseball stadium, right down the street from the football stadium. You know, just a great place, Finnegan's Wake. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
And we had a really great relationship.
What's underneath the North Face right now?
Oh, I can get into that later, but
not that I would ever try to tell another man to take his clothes off, but take it off.
We're going to talk a little bit later about, you know, t-shirts, a place we repped in, but you know, we'll talk about it later. But anyway, we were one of the number one accounts in the state at the time because you know, everybody in Pittsburgh, you know, Pittsburgh's close to Latrobe, and you know, Latrobe had a very good, you know, market out there. It was the number one market for Rolling Rock at the time, number one market for Labatt Brewery at the time, and we had a lot of good times with that.
Yeah. So now, aside from, you know, the pregame, let's talk about like on a day today, like, you know, where you're the next day after. If you had to start the day, hair of the dog, what's a good, you know, hangover drink, cocktail, beer, concoction, other than like Pedialyte,
right.
vitamin
so
water?
Yeah, Pedialyte, you know, liquid IV, all that type of stuff.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, I keep a tub of Zesties pickles in my fridge at all times. So I always have Zesties pickles around, great pickles, nice and spicy. And I start with the pickle juice, and you can add whatever you want to pickle juice.
Shout out to Andy Reid on that one.
Yeah,
he put everyone on to pickle juice.
Yeah, and that's my go-to. I mean, I went when I got up today and finally like got moving and stuff like that. It was my first go-to, just pickle juice. Not any alcohol in it, but if you wanted to, throw some Jameson in there, and then it becomes a pickleback.
Picklebacks. Yeah, you know, and to me, you know, I do like picklebacks. I still think Jameson's trash. Picklebacks are good. To me, it's a Bloody Mary, man. I love a spicy Bloody Mary. Not one of those stunt food Bloody Marys with like, you know, like the hamburger on top and all that bullshit. Like, you know, but give me a piece of celery and, you know, some salt, pepper, a pickle, and a bacon. I'll go as far as say stick of bacon just for like, you know, the saltiness of it and stuff like that. You know, a good Bloody Mary, especially if you're Bloody Marys are good for when you're hungover and if you're about to get on a flight. I don't get on a flight without Bloody Mary.
Same.
That's how I started.
The only thing about Bloody Marys I'll say is that a lot of places out there they do them wrong. I mean, the Bloody Mary is about what's in the ingredients in the mix.
It's not the vodka.
You know, then you put on this full burger, you know, a basket of fries, and it looks like a leaning tower of pizza that are coming in. I mean, then just make an app like that. Like, just make that the app. But I want my Bloody Mary to be clean, you know, get some flavor in there, get some bite. That's I'm not asking for much.
No, it's got to have the right concoction.
We had a coworker one time that saw a picture of somebody who had like these overflowing Bloody Marys with like the burger and the bacon, all that type of stuff. And he was like, you know, oh, you should be doing this. And I said, you should do it when you open up a bar.
Right. Yeah. No, like I'll order a burger if I want a burger.
Mm-hmm.
I love burgers, right? But
I don't need sitting on top of a Bloody Mary.
Right. Why? Yeah. Stunt food. No food. So, all right. Well, I mean, that's as far as list goes today. That's I wanted to round that out and talk about your names, talk about your nicknames, and some pre-games, post-games, stuff like that. So.
Well, let's go to my little soapbox that I like to get on. And
Okay.
I was on a soapbox last week with talking about the tip credit, and I think that was well received. I think there's people out there that, in fact, there's some politicians even who took notice of it and said, I wasn't aware that's how it worked, and are looking to support it. This week, my soapbox, living down here on Main Street in Manayunk, two-way road, K-turns. K-turns. People think like they're driving down and there's an open space on the other side and do a quick K-turn and it blocks traffic for like 10 minutes and they're in a spot and want to head in a different direction. Go to the next block and make two rights and you'll be fine. Why does it have to be a K-turn? K-turns are the most ridiculous things in a two-way street.
They're selfish.
It's extremely selfish. And if I were governor, I would make them illegal. Maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe it's unenforceable. But
what do you think a fair punishment for a K-turn is? Like a fair one, like a fair,
not
equitable,
allowed
just
to
payment.
park in a PPA spot for 6 months.
Okay.
So if there's a meter or something like that, say you can't park there because you abuse the system.
So not death.
Not death.
Okay. Well, we'll have to find some middle ground then.
Yeah.
To me, it should be like, hey, that bus that's coming, I hope it doesn't stop. I hope it just, I guess now
I think you're a little bit more morbid than I am.
No, I detest. I'm with you. I'm championing your cause.
It's just really a horror story, especially here on Main Street, and it's just something that really grinds my gears. Like,
Grinds me. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I mean, I don't live on Main Street, and I love it down here. I'm privileged to work down here. The community is fantastic. I know when I kind of auditioned and interviewed, for the spot down here, most of my experience coming from like the Northeast, when I came down here, I was like, oh, this is going to be way easier than some of the demo that I deal with. But the K-turns are pretty bad. I don't have a lot of horror stories as far as Main Street, but, I could tell you one of my tales from the walk-in as far as, horror stories I've seen in the business. I remember one day I was at work and, we didn't have a host on and I answered the phone like, hey, how are you? I had a woman, she was making a complaint. She was like, hey, is there a manager I could speak to? Yeah, I'm speaking. How can I help you today? And it was, I don't feel that, I got food from you guys. I paid the bill. I think the bill was kind of heavy. I just didn't feel like it was worth what I paid for the food that I got. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, can I get some information from you? Last four digits of your card, the check number, blah, blah, blah. Now, this was like 8 o'clock at night. All right. So, we still have some time left in the day. It's like we're not closing anytime soon, but we've been open since, 11 a.m. Right. So, she gives me the last 4 digits of her check. It might have been like 1, 2, 3, 4 or something. I pull it up and I'm like, this check's from like 12:15 this afternoon. I'm like, hey, I just want to like circle back. Like, what was the issue with the food? It was like, I paid $80 for this food, and I'm like, it just didn't fill me up. I'm like, what was the last 4 digits again? She tells me the last 4 digits and it's matched what I'm saying. I'm like, is this food from 12:15 this afternoon? Yeah. But it's 8:15 at night. Like, well, I took a nap. I'm like, you took a nap?
You were so upset that you felt you were overcharged, and you said, I'm tired.
It gets worse. I shouldn't wake up still hungry after a nap. Oh my, honey, you slept for a third of the day. This isn't a nap. This is like you went to bed for the night. You got up 8 hours later from a nap, complaining that she's still hungry. And she wanted to know what we were going to do for her inconvenience. Mm-hmm. I said, best thing I could do for you is recommend you go somewhere else next time.
Yeah, that fits into the category of you're just never going to make that person
You're
happy.
never going to make them happy at all. And that's just one of my horror stories of, I shouldn't wake up 8 hours later after my nap still hungry after eating your food.
What did you do in the walk-in after that? Did you just start fighting? Like,
that was one of those things where I think we bypassed the walk-in and I just told the rest of the staff the story and we all just made fun of her. We just, like, this is what I was just dealing with on the phone while you guys were tending bar and waiting tables.
Interesting.
But it was an absolute horror story, just because the idea that like there's people out there who are like, like, well, I need to get my, I need to be compensated for this because clearly the restaurant was wrong from not making sure that the food I ate at 8 hours later sustained me for a third of an actual lunar cycle.
Yeah, that kind of stuff amazes me when people sit there and they sandbag it a little bit, and you realize they do that because if they do it right away, you don't have it right there to be able to address. If you call back 8 hours later or the next day, this is what happened, and this, I want you to do something about it. It's not that easy.
No.
Listen. Wherever we've worked, we've always been very proud of the food we put out and the product we put out. And places are extremely crowded because of the quality of what we do. If they weren't happy with it, the first thing they should have done was say, "Excuse me, this is not satisfying."
What is the narrative of today's show? It's like, we can't fix things we don't know about, right? And if we do know about it, we'll do everything we can to fix it. But yeah, 8 hours later, after you slept for the day, it's like going to bed at night and waiting up for breakfast and be like, how come I'm still hungry? I ate dinner last night.
Right.
This is ridiculous.
Right.
But dinner didn't fill me. I'm like, yeah.
What do you eat when you wake up in the morning?
Breakfast. What do you eat?
Breakfast.
Oh, what you have at breakfast today? Pickle juice?
I don't know what breakfast is. That what you're saying?
Breakfast.
Breakfast.
Yeah.
Breakfast.
The first meal of the day.
Yeah, pickle juice and iced tea.
Ooh, okay. And that's why you're the walking poster child for good health.
The Walking Dead.
For The Walking Dead. Nice.
Yes.
Good. Hopefully you last a little longer and you don't get 86 anytime soon, Sean. We like having you around.
We'll see.
Wow.
We'll try and put it out there.
But while we are talking about 86ing things, we're getting to that time of the show where we have to 86 our program and our episode. Before we do, this is episode 3, so hopefully you guys are used to it by now. But we find a topical thing in the bar, restaurant, or Philadelphia scene, and we talk about what we want to 86. And I think this will be another one of those things where I think we're going to agree on this one. Bro, we are 86 in these new Philly uniforms, man.
Who said yes?
This is demand for something. I'm sorry, this is supply for something no one had demand for.
I don't get it. I don't get it. The colors, I know it's the close to like the colors of the Philadelphia flag. We know the uniforms that the Eagles put out back in
2007 was
they had those ugly blue and yellow.
A dark time for us in the city of Philadelphia.
And whoever listen, I'll go off on Nike a little bit because there's a lot of talk about this, about the redesign of the uniforms. The players are saying it's not as comfortable. The names, the way they put the names so small and the numbers so small in the back. Why? What was the impetus for that? And then on top of that, they give us these new city uniforms that, I mean, I wouldn't wear that in Miami. In Miami, you can wear whatever color you want and you're fine. I would it's horrendous. I know the writing's small, but first of all, the font. Remember being in grade school and you draw those little heavy metal looking S's with the lines, but now that's our font for our sports team. It's like a script logo or font.
The font's terrible. The uniforms themselves, they're going to get super saturated in the heat. Dead of like July and August and shit like that, when the sun's beating down you, the players are going to be dehydrated from sweating. The colors, and here's what really kind of gets me as far as 86 and things. Like, listen, I get it. You want to play off like the colors of the Philadelphia flag, all right? The Philadelphia flag is yellow and blue because we're honoring the fact that we were colonized by the Swedes, okay? That's in the 1600s. That's not now. You want to honor Philadelphia. Let me tell you about some Philadelphia colors, okay? Kelly green, midnight green, Philadelphia color, okay? Black and orange, Philadelphia color, all right? Philly
red pinstripes.
Red pinstripes, or listen, or maroon and powder blue, Philly colors. All right,
great.
Take the Sixers. Red, white, and silver, or red, white, and blue, or silver, white, and blue. The colors of our flag of the country. All right, let's highlight real Philadelphia colors here. All right, and blue and yellow doesn't represent us.
That's
as
what I'm
far
saying.
as
Like
Philly
somebody,
sports.
I feel somebody at Nike corporate over in Oregon, like was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is awful.
They're gonna no, this is awesome.
You know what's
and they
blue?
were like, and everybody, whoever said it was probably pretty high up, and
They were pretty high.
nobody broke into their conversation. Guys, this ain't gonna work.
No, not at all. Blue and yellow. It's also the color of IKEA. All right, when was the last time you went to IKEA and had a good time? Another Swedish thing.
I like IKEA.
Stop.
I like building things with my hands. I like to use my hands. Stuff.
Yeah, no. 86 in these uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 86 in blue and yellow from ever coming back as a Philadelphia sports team. I never want to see the Flyers in blue and yellow. I never want to see the Sixers in blue and yellow. Keep the Phillies and the Eagles away from blue and yellow. We have our colors. All right, so we're 86 in uniforms, and with that, we're 86 in today's episode.
Yeah, and we thank everybody for viewing this. And what did they say on the podcast? Like and subscribe.
Don't forget
and
to hit like and subscribe at the bottom. Smash that like bottom, and
we're idiots, so we're trying to make this happen on our own. And if somebody has a suggestion on where we should go, we're actually actively working on getting into iTunes. So that is something.
That'll be a good feature for us. For people who don't want to look at you and just want to listen to you.
Who wants to look at you? And with that, good night, everybody. Thank you for watching, and have a good time when you're out. Take care of everybody.
See you, Philly.
YUNKJunk!